Hello, everyone, and welcome to Part A POE Teatime, bite-sized learning on busy days. I am excited to announce that we are creating a series of videos regarding SNF Consolidated Billing. This is the first video in our series, and we will start off with an introduction to Consolidated Billing. We will then move into each major category of exclusions for SNF Consolidated Billing in upcoming videos. So let's go ahead and begin with that introduction. What is SNF Consolidated Billing? The Balanced Budget Act of 1997 introduced significant changes to the Medicare payment system for SNFs. One major change was the implementation of a prospective payment system, or PPS, for SNFs. Under this system, payments to SNFs for services provided to Medicare beneficiaries during a covered Part A stay are made on a per diem basis and bundled into a single payment. The payment covers most services, including nursing care, room and board, and other related services and supplies. The consolidated billing took effect as each SNF transitioned to PPS at the start of the SNF's first cost reporting period back in July 1998, so it has been around for a while. The concept of SNF consolidated billing does resemble the bundling requirements for inpatient hospital services, which have been in place since the early 1980s. The systems are designed to streamline the billing process by having a single entity responsible for billing all services involved in patient care during their stay, whether in a hospital or a skilled nursing facility. In the case of SNF consolidated billing, this means that the skilled nursing facility is responsible for billing Medicare for almost all of the services that a resident receives during a covered Part A stay, except for certain services that are specifically excluded. This shift was intended to control cost and encourage more efficient care delivery by providing SNFs with a fixed amount of reimbursement per day of care adjusted for the clinical characteristics and needs of the patient. I do want to make a few comments regarding why this reimbursement methodology was developed by CMS for SNFs. Before the introduction of SNF PPS, there was indeed a significant issue with duplicate billing due to a lack of restrictions on outside providers. When a resident was under a Part A covered stay in a SNF, both the nursing facility and the external provider could submit bills for the same services rendered. The SNF would bill Medicare Part A, while the external provider could directly bill Medicare Part B for similar or identical services, resulting in inefficiencies and potential overpayments. The implementation of SNF PPS helped to address these problems by consolidating payments and reducing the chances of duplicate billing, ensuring a more streamlined and accurate reimbursement process. Also, this problem was compounded because the Part A and Part B sides of the Medicare claims processing system at that time did not communicate well with each other. And that meant that there was increased out-of-pocket liability for beneficiaries. So even in situations where only the outside provider and not the SNF submitted a claim, billing Part B for a service that could have been included on the SNF's Part A bill meant the beneficiary's financial liability increased by incurring the expense of Part B coinsurance payments and any unmet Part B deductible for that service. The slide we are viewing now provides a few helpful reminders. Under Medicare rules, while general while general SNFs must adhere to consolidated billing rules, where the facility itself must bill for almost all services provided to their residents, critical access hospitals with swing beds are not subject to these same regulations. SNFs should not separately bill the patient for outpatient services when provided while the patient is in a swing bed. And keep in mind that services provided during a covered Part A critical access hospital swing bed stay must be billed on a swing bed claim or type of bill 18X. Let's now talk about excluded services, meaning excluded from SNF's PPS reimbursement and not to be billed by the SNF. Remember that those services that CMS has designated as excluded are billed separately under Part B by the provider that provided the service. And of course, some services are considered excluded by Medicare statute, and some services are excluded administratively in SNF consolidated billing regulations. A service that has not been designated by CMS as excluded must be included in SNF consolidated billing. There are 5 major categories excluded from SNF consolidated billing guidelines. CMS does provide a detailed explanation of those categories out on their website. So we're going to go there just really quickly so I can show you where to locate that. So what you're seeing now is cms.gov, their website. And what you'll want to do is you will want to click on the drop down next to Medicare. And then we're going to go down to coding and billing. And then you will see over here, you have skilled nursing facility consolidated billing. So we're going to select that. And that takes you to CMS's SNF consolidated billing page. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to find the 2025 Part A MAC update. So I'm just going to scroll down and look on this left side navigation. And there it is, 2025 Part A MAC update. So I'm going to click on that. And then here is your update for 2025. And what they are doing here is they are either advising us that they are adding new codes or they may be terminating codes under these major categories. So I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom of the page where it says downloads. And the first link here, which we will go into further in additional videos, is the Excel file with all of the HCPCS codes. But the second link is the general explanation of major categories. So I'm going to click on that, and then that pops up for you, and that opens. And each it does address each major category. It gives you some additional information. This is a great reference to have and to use. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. All right. So please keep in mind that it is important for all providers to understand the major categories for SNF consolidated billing. Some major categories exclude services by revenue code, as well as bill types, others by certain types, such as a beneficiary receiving services in a renal dialysis or a hospice facility. And other services are strictly driven by the HCPCS code being billed. We will go through each category again in upcoming videos. I do want to provide a few tips that may be helpful when you do access the SNF consolidated billing file. As you would expect, the enforcement of SNF consolidated billing is done through editing in FIS using lists of HCPCS codes that are subject to the consolidated billing provision of SNF PPS. In order to assure proper payment in all settings, Medicare systems must edit for services provided to SNF beneficiaries, both included and excluded from SNF consolidated billing. So when the service has been designated as excluded, these services may not be billed to Medicare by the SNF. The outside provider will submit a claim to Medicare. And services not designated by CMS as excluded will be considered included in SNF PPS reimbursement and must be billed for by the SNF. That is why CMS provides an Excel file listing those HCPCS codes that are excluded from SNF consolidated billing reimbursement. And in the case of surgery, HCPCS codes that are considered included in SNF consolidated billing. And we will address that in further detail when we get to that particular category. All right, so the next video in our series will be on major category 1 exclusions, so be on the lookout for this upcoming video. I do want to take a moment and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to review this video. We do understand that your time is important. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and take care.